Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero. Thanks for listening to The Tour Coach. These are the players, coaches, experts, stories, and insights from my work on the PGA Tour at my retreats or my downtown teaching center in Mobile, Alabama. My goal is to shed light and share insights from the people who I've gotten to know and meet working on the PGA Tour and teach it through my career. And I hope this helps all of us play, coach, and teach better golf. If you like what you hear, please give us a good review and take a look at our new Dewsweeper's YouTube channel or the Dewsweeper on Instagram, where I've taken some time to share videos of help from my teachings, travels, and journeys. All right, so here we are. Where are we, Wayne? I mean, I know where we are. We're in Trump Doral, but we're at the Champions Grill downstairs here. First Dewsweeper retreat down here at the Rick Smith Performance Center. A couple guests, Ryan Smith in town from North Carolina, observing and watching and hang out. Second time you've done it. Cody McBride, one of our illustrious students this week from No Laying Up. He's going to teach me how to do a podcast and social media at the end of this retreat. But and Wayno the Drano, Wayne Flint, hanging out with me. We had Colby Touye in with us today. He had to drive back home, but thought we'd knock out a Tour Coach podcast. And I mean, these are like I told you guys, these are my favorite things to do. More fun than teaching tour players. I think we got some young guys that could become tour players out of it, which is to me the fun part. But I thought it'd be good to talk a little bit. And I want to start with you, Cody. Talk a little bit about, one, what the hell made you decide to come to hang out with us? I mean, you guys get to do some of the coolest stuff in golf. If you follow you guys on social media and all the stuff you guys do, how the hell did you end up with us here?
Yeah, well, thank you for that amazing introduction, by the way. And
I mean, you're a good player, really good player.
Thank you.
You guys do some of the coolest stuff in golf, and that's why you guys at No Laying Up have so much success, and it's breaking boundaries. Golf's not as stuffy.
Right.
Bringing it to the masses. I was just curious how the hell you found a fat Italian guy that likes to listen to a wingman while he's teaching and drinks wine.
Yeah, so I started following you quite a while ago on Instagram, and I think what I've told you this is immediately what drew me into it is that it was just you, and there was no, you're not trying to push anything. You're just out there with your guys, and it didn't matter if it was a tour player, if there's a junior player. You're just out there on the range having a good time. And I think the first thing that I saw is one of your winter retreats you had with all the tour players down there, and it just looked like a ton of fun. And that's when I started following, and then listened to the podcast and listened to almost every podcast that you put out. And, I've learned a lot from it. You've had some awesome guests.
Good.
Yeah. And honestly, it's kind of an honor now to sit here at one of these dinner podcasts, because I always think, what the hell are they actually doing recording a podcast while they're sitting around eating and drinking? But now I see how the sausage is actually being made. So I appreciate the invite to have on, and phenomenal couple days that we have down here. Why I chose, you now? Because I want to get better. Mm-hmm. I think that's something that, I've had in the back of my mind for a long time, and you go out there and you try to do enough things by yourself, but, you can only take it so far, and ultimately you're just going to get yourself in trouble. So I wanted to do some form of hard break and just come up with a game plan, and that's breaking everything down from full swing to short game, and then having Kobe down here is awesome to just, work on some things in your body that you never really thought about, and come up with a plan on how to move forward. And ultimately, just like everybody else, I want to be a better player, and I wouldn't be down here if that wasn't the case.
It was great. I mean, we have a lot of fun, but I think we get a lot of work done.
Yep.
You heard my spiel this morning, both of y'all. And Wayne's heard it for a zillion years, but with Colby, I don't think golf's that complicated. I think, if we can get your face square, we can get that club to swing relatively on the right path or plane, however you want to call it, and then we can help teach your body to move functionally to deliver the club in the best way that you can. I think we can make you a better player. And, Colby's stuff for me has been fascinating. And every time I'm with him with a player, he pulls out some damn exercise I hadn't seen before. And I'm like, where did he get that one, And I'm like, if I was him, I'd have 30 that I just did every week and call it a day. But every time it's a different one. And I told you this, like the first time, he's the first trainer that, going back to the Smiley Kaufman days, way back in the day. And, a player came to me and said, my trainer wants to know exactly what you're trying to get me to do in my golf swing so he can work specifically on that. Never had a player, still, other than Colby, never had a trainer say that. And then he was the first trainer that ever came to a lesson and did what he did with y'all today, but on the tee with a tour player. And I was like, this is way different. And so I started bringing him to all my friends, like Wayne, work with all these people. I was like, man, this is different. Because I thought it was different than sending them to a gym, like him being there doing it while you're working. I thought was interesting.
Yeah. Well, the process that you guys have is phenomenal. And I think, from getting a swing assessment and seeing where we're at to you, explaining to me what is going on majority wrong in my swing, and being able to break it down from you guys and just the swing side of it, but having Kobe there and not only like putting bands on you and physically moving you to get you into those positions, but then being like, okay, so finish this swing out, all right, and then takes you to the side, and Kobe's going to give you 3 different exercises to fix and to make whatever thing that we're targeting stronger or looser or whatever it is. He has the immediate feedback to where, we've been out hitting balls from 9 in the morning till 5:30 before we went and had some dinner. Like I said, I went back and showered, and it's the first day in a long time that I was like, man, I'm kind of sore. Like, I don't know.
You moved some stuff you hadn't moved in a while.
Well, that's true. There's a lot of hip opening and closing today that hasn't opened and closed in a long time. So I'm going to have to see my chiropractor when I go home. But all good stuff. And I think, how you guys work and pair it together, I don't know why more people don't do it.
I'm going to ask you, Ryan, why did you come? You'd come to see me at Frederica before. We couldn't scare you off, apparently.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you having me down here to Doral, Tony. It's, the first time I came to see you at Fred, I just wanted to see what I was seeing. I wanted to see if what was going on Instagram was really what was going on. And it was better than you could have imagined it looking like on social media. And it made sense from the get-go. Having at the time, you had Morgan Hale there, and she was doing a great job, man. She does a great job. And Jackson, and you get the environment, the culture, the music playing. It changed my perspective on what coaching and teaching could look like if you had the right environment, which was really cool. And so I came back because I've tried to, I'm similar to our guy here, Cody, listen to basically every podcast and continue to follow you. And I appreciate you taking an interest in my teaching and helping me out with getting a little bit better. And that's what I'm trying to do, is get a little bit better. And, to have somebody like you reach out, an olive branch, a helping hand, and help push my career along a little faster has been super important to me. But to watch, like this morning, man, Colby, K. Wayne, shout out K. Wayne, wish he was here with us.
We'd be drinking and eating healthier.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be as much fun. But
that's probably true, right? Those burgers that we slammed for dinner probably wouldn't happen.
I told him I ate like a lettuce wrap. I hope he's not listening.
But it was really cool to hear you guys not shy away from what you wanted the student to do and not coach around it, but to have him there to help the student. And Cody, I thought it was really cool.
We started off
with Cody, right? And I thought that was.
I appreciate the VIP treatment.
Right,
it goes a long way.
Yeah, we did give you a little VIP treatment today. I didn't make you wait around. But public service announcement too. This goes out to. We have a lot of teachers that listen to this. I think it's bull. Teachers that try to charge other teachers to come observe them. None of us have anything that's so important we should be charging other people. Yeah. If we really love the game, and those people out there know who they are, if you really love the game and you're trying to grow it and give back, you shouldn't be charging somebody that wants to come hang out that's just trying to help themselves and get better at their career. Because at some point, somewhere in time, all of us needed some help and probably weren't able to pay for it. Into my public service announcement. So Wayne, you brought a couple of your young players down that Pierce is a good young kid. That kid hit some good shots out there.
He's going to be a good player, yeah.
Right. Harrison Houston coming back from injury,
right?
Which I thought was an interesting aspect to have Colby and us look at. Why'd you bring them down, and why? I mean, we've obviously taught together for years, and you've been an unbelievable influence on my teaching career.
Well, I picked those two young men specifically because I've seen, I've had another young guy, Ward Harris, he's a fine 2023 guy, and brought him to Jupiter in one of our camps and introduced him to K. Wayne when he was 13 years old, and he had a little bit of a struggle doing K. Wayne stuff, and
kids beating everybody's ass now,
and informed us all that he couldn't do it because he was only 13. Well, K. Wayne lit into him, and that's his nickname now. So
Colby kept calling him 13 the whole camp.
And so,
this kid was laying on the floor at Joey D's. Colby's hammered him, trying to get him to do stuff. And he's like, I can't, I'm only 13. And he kept calling it. Colby called him 13 the rest of the camp.
So that kid took it to heart, and he's done his stuff. And I've watched all the schools that we've done together and all the teaching you and I've done together. And I've watched what K. Wayne does and how he does it. And I mean, it's a total game changer. So I wanted to introduce young Pierce to K. Wayne because, he's a year behind Ward, and he's, already showing great promise in, SJGT tournaments and that kind of stuff.
Shots.
He hits a bunch of good shots, and he's learned how to shoot low. And the other young gentleman, Harrison, is coming off post-op surgery, in August, I think he said. And, I wanted to get him down here before he starts his semester in college. I want to make sure he doesn't hurt himself again. And, we talked with K. Wayne and you this morning and want to get a specific plan for him where he can do the rehab where he doesn't hurt himself again and have to have another surgery and another surgery. And, so I specifically got those guys because, I wanted to help Pierce get a jump start on his college search because he's a good player, and I wanted Harrison to do it so he didn't get hurt again. Both great young men, and kind of the culture we have with all these kids here. Whether you're your students or my students, it really doesn't matter. They're all a bunch of really good kids, and they're all friends with all the other guys, and it's a big team atmosphere. And I don't, for whatever reason, it sure does seem to work because they all play pretty good.
Cody, I'm going to shift this back to you since you're like the actual student here. How is this different? Is it what you thought it would be, and how is it different? Talk about the culture and how everybody together, because it's different, I think, than what like most golf schools. We've talked a little bit about. I'm obviously at Rick Smith's place, and he's an icon in the teaching industry. I mean, he's a legend with all he's done with Jack and Phil and all those people have been nice enough, and Kevin Kirk let me come down. But I think what I do is a little bit non-traditional based on, some of the people that probably here before probably look at it and think I'm a nut job. And they're probably right.
The first thing that stood out to me is that, how many of us are down here?
Eight or nine?
Yeah.
We had Jillian Hollis hanging out with us a little today, which I thought was cool.
So 8, 9 students. You got, you, Wayne, and Kobe here today. But I've done a lot of these teaching days, and it would be very easy for you to be like the majority of other golf instructors that are out there that sell this thing to 25 to 30 people, have lawn chairs set out, and you go bury yourself in a bunker trying to teach people how to hit a little high flop or a high sand shot out of there. And ultimately, when you're trying those golf schools, people don't learn anything.
I don't think so.
Here I've had more one-on-one time with you guys today than I've had since I was 11 years old with an instructor. And obviously I had a pretty big break in my golf playing days because of military and stuff like that. But, it's phenomenal. So you have a very, tight student to teacher ratio. You guys are, I wouldn't say helicoptering around. You're letting us go. You're giving us drills, giving us fields, and we're going out and figuring it out. And it's a complete, basically open schedule. You tell us what to do. We go out and hit some balls. We want to take a break, go take a break. If you want to go watch and learn and see what's going on in the bay, you're more than welcome to do it.
I like that. I like people hanging out.
Right. And ultimately, the hang is from a 16-year-old high school kid trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life for what he knows all the way up to, the guys that are senior in college, to mini tour players, to, professional podcasters. That's what I'm going to label myself.
Is that what, I thought you were a chief officer.
And, it runs the gamut. It's cool to see what each individual is able to pick up and learn from, because from the 16-year-old kid learning from a freshman, a sophomore, a senior in college, to the mini tour player that's here, like it's incredible. I think I knew that's what was going to be the case coming in. I just didn't know how you put it all together.
But I think that, like, I've had people say, like, well, why do you have it doesn't matter, like a business person, whatever, that's a whatever joint. I'm like, because I think everybody can learn something from everybody.
Yeah.
Right? You rode with Will McFadden today, and Will commented on the side, man, like, that guy's great, man, like, cool, right? But everybody can learn something from everybody.
Yeah.
And not every person here is going to be a tour player.
Yep.
You've obviously done great things being in the military and then retiring, and now you've got another great career. But, not everybody's going to be a tour player. Those kids can learn something, right? And I think that golf and most of life is a relationship business anyways. And, I think those relationships are invaluable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was fortunate. Wayne knows this. I was one of those kids. Like, my dad was, played a lot with my dad and grandfather, but I grew up in men's locker rooms growing up at the clubs my parents played at, and my dad played at. And, I can remember going to one of my first job interviews, and it turned out to be an insurance sales job where they were recruiting me to, whatever, but I think it was Primerica Financial or something like that. I'm probably not getting them as a sponsor now, but I remember calling one of the guys that was a successful businessman at the club I practiced at that I knew from hanging out in the locker room, and I asked him, and he kind of prepped me for the interview and did all that, right?
Yeah.
And because, again, I just think, I look back on that and I was like, that's kind of what I want to turn these into, 9 guys in a locker room getting better at golf. And it doesn't mean not everybody has to be a college kid or a junior. And I like the juniors hanging out with the college kids and hanging out with adults, because I think we could do a better job making kids more responsible for themselves. And
well, kids need to be kids, but also kids need to have the opportunity to grow up and mature. Mm-hmm. And parents are the most important thing that you have in your life. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people out there that are not the best parents, mm-hmm. and those people usually come out with some pretty horrible kids. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of weird to be in the golf business and you see a bunch of kids who have been given everything their entire lives. I'm sure you've run into this before, but the kids that are here are not that. They all have really good heads on their shoulders, and it doesn't matter, what it is. You talked about not everybody's going to end up being a professional golfer.
Yeah.
And what these kids can learn from, somebody who's a mid-am, somebody that's involved in business and everything else like that. Even if you end up being a professional golfer, there are things that you're learning here. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be from anybody that you run into. And if you're not using each opportunity that you have as a teaching moment to teach yourself about life, about business, about success and failure, what the hell are they even doing? And if there's kids out there that say they got it all figured out. Well, cool. Just go back to the back of the range and keep on banging balls, man.
Yep.
Because
see how that works.
That life is not the life that I want. It's not the life that I want my kids to have. And ultimately, that kid's not going to be successful.
One of the best lessons I ever got was walking in a Pro-Am with Tom Kite back in the day. And I remember asking something about a Pro-Am, and he told me that the guy remembered him or something. He said that after every Pro-Am on the flight home from the tournament, you had stationery, wrote thank you notes to every person in the Pro-Am, personalized, and then he mailed them from the airport or whatever when he landed. Most people don't do that. But then you look at how long he's played, how successful he's been. I just think but I think those are lessons you learn around people that have been very successful. I think that's the whole point, is you can learn something from anybody that's been successful.
I mean, if you just look at the current professional golf landscape, Abraham Answer, phenomenal player.
Right.
Lives in South Texas. Everybody knows Abraham now because of Tequila Company or because of a clothing line. All of that started because of a relationship that he built. Somebody at a Pro-Am.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He met him at a Pro-Am. Turns out to be his business partner now, who has, 2 very successful companies. The PGA Tour doesn't do that stuff anymore. They don't take the time to write thank you notes or anything else like that. The LPGA Tour does. In fact, Seth Watt made it mandatory for them to write thank you notes back to the partners that they played with in the LPGA Tour, because he knew that those relationships that they had either created or maintained based off multiple years going to the same events are the most important thing, not only to that individual tournament, but to the tour. Because those are the sponsors. Those are the people that are paying the money. I can go out on a tee at a PGA Tour Pro-Am afterwards and ask the guys, hey, who are the AMs that you played with today? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Because to them, it's just another day where they got to go out and entertain some people. And I get it. It's a lot. But, later in life, who knows what those relationships are going to turn into.
Not everybody's going to be Tiger, DJ, Jason Day, or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Not everybody's going to have a career like that. So kind of circle this back around. I'll start it with you since the phone's over there, Cody. Like, with social media and all of this, it's changed the golf business. And I think it's changed a lot of the golf instruction and the way people get information about the game, for good or bad. Where do you see it going? And what do you like a lot of the stuff that's done? And I'm going to ask everybody, but it's an interesting question. I think that a lot of people, I still think the best way to get better is to still go in person and build a relationship, because I still think the best way you get better is have somebody that really believes and cares about you and puts effort in. But how do you see it?
I think it's very good overall. You're connecting people that you would never be able to connect with if you didn't live in that area or have the means to travel and go meet. The other thing is that I wouldn't have a damn clue who you were if it wasn't for this smartphone.
True.
So where would I be? Something that's in 100-mile radius for me, because I'm going to look at the top, Golf Digest's top 100 teachers in the state or whatever it's going to be, and I'm going to dream of going and getting a lesson from a you or a Claude or, anyone else like that. But realistically, but realistically, that's probably not going to happen. I'm going to find my local golf pro. Now, on the swing instruction side of it, I think it's been very beneficial because you are able to make those connections. Mm-hmm. You're able to, send videos back and forth. You're able to put random videos out and have professionals look at it, and also the world who thinks they're professionals to comment on it and probably say, this looks like trash. You can put Tiger's swing up from 2000 and people would say, this is the worst golf swing I've ever seen in my life.
It's unbelievable.
And you're like, what are you talking about? This is perfection. Mm-hmm. But somebody's always going to pick into it. The negative sides of it is that realistically, golf swing and instruction, it's not like there's huge evolutions or new things that come out. But everybody has a way of doing their things. And previously, the way that you would get that information is for an instructor to write a book, put out a DVD, VHS. Talking to you, Wayne, VHS back in your day.
Oh my God, you should have seen him back when he had the pickle.
Oh,
you got to hear this. He filmed you and he put you on the screen. First person I ever. It's the only pickle I ever saw, actually. And he pulled this thing up and he had this little pen that had a little light on it, and he could draw on the screen of his TV. It's called "How Much You Pay for the Pickle."
I think it was like $1,500. It was
back in the day.
Yeah, no easy task.
Oh my God. Do you still have it?
I still have it.
I'm sure.
We need to bring that
shit back out. And or open up a golf magazine and you'd have a 30 stills laid across and saying, these are, frames of a golf swing. That's where you got the information. Now you open up your phone, you're putting golf swings out there. You name any other teachers putting golf swings out there, or you're putting your students' swings out there with voiceovers of what they're doing wrong. So theoretically, you're putting out information that's like, probably should get paid for. That I can see the negative side of that. But I think it's going to continue. I think with, not just Instagram, but whatever the metaverse is going to turn into. Like, there's going to be a point where, like, you're going to put on some VR goggles and I'm going to put on VR goggles and we're going to be in a make-believe room in cyberspace and you're going to be able to put hands on me and I'm going to be able to feel it and you're going to give me a cyber instruction, just like we're standing in the same room together.
For dating.
Well, let's not go. I could get in trouble. We're not going to be in those rooms.
That isn't that was my first thought about what you were saying. Hope Yvonne's not listening.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be cruising for wife number 5. One for the thumb.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. But, I the future is, I think, very bright. I think that as much as the negative sides of social media, there's a ton of positives that are out there. And that's not just saying for me because we're primarily like a social media company.
But I think all of what we used to think of as our information source, the magazines.
Yeah.
I grew up a golf magazine, Golf Digest guy. I remember reading Golf Digest and Golf Magazine at my grandfather's house. He kept them on top of the pretzel can and everything, and I'd read them at his house. But, like, to me, Instagram is just Golf Magazine and Golf Digest, basically. It's the same. Only instead of it being still pictures, we were able to watch videos and then read. And to me, the guys that were the best from the Golf and Golf Digest and the writers, those people have shifted to doing stuff with media,
I'll say this. I watch a ton of swing videos on Instagram. And, like, I end up getting in these rabbit holes because they're not American or English-speaking teachers. Like, I follow a ton of Korean golf instructors.
A lot of them,
And it is amazing, like, not just the quality that they put out there, but, like, watching some of their moves and how they interact with their students and everything else like that. I'm blown away by it. So, again, without social media, I would never be watching or even knowing of any of that stuff.
We're going to limit what you watch when you leave this. Ryan, what do you think about it? Tell us, how is social media? I mean, one is you've been with us now. How is this different from other stuff? And then how has media changed what you're doing?
Well, I mean, social media to me is just like anything else. It's got its pros and cons, but like you said earlier, Tony, I didn't get all of you can't get everything that you want to get out of, especially for me in my position as a young coach coming up. My goal to be here is to learn and get a little bit better. You really still can't get that in any other way, shape, or form than, like you said, going and observing and, hopping in a car, hopping in a plane. And you don't get to see what people are really working on. You get to see maybe the end result, right? But you don't get to really see what the ins and outs were. It's like, okay, well, all this guy's ex-coach, all of his guys look like this, so if I do this, then, blah, blah, blah. But I think, to me, you don't get to see the relationships that are built. Like, I mean, shout out to Hendo. I met him at Fred. It was cool to see him again today.
How much better is that?
So much better, right? And that was cool to me to see. He's not really that super active on social media, so
a year ago, kid Hendo, kid came to us. He was shooting in the mid-upper 80s.
Yeah.
Now he's playing college golf.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
It's amazing. But to Cody's point, the same thing. Like, I got exposed to the Dewsweeper and your crew through social media, so I do think it's a positive. But I used it just as a vehicle to further our relationship and actually come down here and watch you teach. I watch you work with the people and the people that you expose your juniors to, which is something that I'm working on myself right now. Is I think it's a great idea to expose these kids to as much information outside of just traditional golf instruction. The biomechanics, the physical fitness stuff that Kay Wayne does, the mental side. I know you guys work with Dr. Greg Carton, and I've reached out to...
you got to meet Doc. He's good at drinking wine with us.
I was gonna say I don't know if I need another mental coach in my life. That's where we. You think my golf swing has issues? Just wait till we open this thing up.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait! I can't wait to get Doc involved. Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Wayno, you're kind of the senior statesman at this table, which means you're older.
Yeah,
oldest,
so
and you were talking about VHS tapes, which I never do anymore. Talk about a little bit about why you like the team coaching, because I do think the whole team stuff is a little different. Like, I think you go to a lot of places and you got a teacher kind of take you through it, but I don't think of any of us that teach together as one's the main guy or one's more the other guy. We're all equals and we're all the same, and we can all jump in. None of us, like, we kind of all know like when to jump in and not. I think that's part of the art of it, but we all jump in.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, I think, if being the older guy, I'm not quite as active on social media as some of the younger guys.
We're going to get Cody to take yours over for the day. We're going to take
although I do try, and I do try to put stuff out, praising my kids when they do good, and
I think that's important.
Stuff like that. I think it is, and I think the information that's out there on social media is fabulous. I think all the YouTube videos, all that stuff. I think all that stuff is great. I think the one disconnect that students need to figure out is they have to figure out if that information is for them or it's just information and entertainment. And it can be both, but they have to, at some point, I think they have to go to somebody like Tony, myself, some good teacher, somebody who's actually made somebody better before. They got to get a good program that's specifically made for them. And then I think they have to use social media for what it is, an entertainment vehicle, an information vehicle. And then they have to be smart enough to be able to sort it out. And, when they do that, they should be able to push themselves, in a better direction fundamentally in their golf game. Now, the team coaching thing, I don't think anything ever will substitute for a one-on-one relationship with a teacher. You gain trust, you gain you show them that you care about them. You care about them as people. I mean, I've done it long enough now where, I get wedding invitations from kids that I used to teach, and I get, baby announcements, and those things are fantastic. And I'm teaching the third generation of a family where I taught the brother, the two sisters, the mom, the dad. Now I'm teaching the grandchildren. So that means I'm getting older, I know, but those relationships, once you build them, they last for a long time. And I think that's the great thing about golf. It's a great thing about teaching. It's the art of teaching, is building the relationship as well as instilling the fundamentals into the people's games. And, the only way to do that is through time. And that's something special we have here is we get to watch all the kids that were here today. Most of them have been with us for 4 or 5 years.
Which I think makes it easier to do this format when the majority of the people you've seen before, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's why I started with you, was because we hadn't seen you before. Most of the kids, I saw some of them last week, so they know what they're working on.
Yeah.
So I do think that when you have a group of people that all knows each other, it makes it easier to have. If we just threw in 8 randos that none of us knew, it'd probably be a little harder it probably would be a little harder.
Yeah, you're trying to get to know them all at the same time.
You probably have to do more with the 8 chairs out there and do a presentation. But this type of thing, I felt like we could start with you and then get you on your program, and then everybody else just kind of cycle through it.
Right. And that is the thing that social media doesn't really have. It's really difficult to get a personalized plan or a program. Like, Cody's going to walk away today knowing how to set up in a more balanced position. He's gonna know where his hips need to be before he even starts the club back.
He struggled with it though. He was he was slipping on the range after.
Yeah, and
sore, man.
It was. I thought it was really cool, man.
It's been a long day.
Riding around in the golf cart. I mean, to get to the silver course from the clubhouse is like a 30-minute Uber ride, right? But riding
you got
around,
stove up just on the way to the tee.
But riding with Wayno, I learned a lot just riding in the cart with him. And we got to when we got to the golf course, watch the guys hit some balls and really see how they played. But at the end, when we did the little putting thing on 18 green with Wayno and you and Birch and McFadden, and Wayno was telling, trying to help him with his grip and his setup and all that stuff. And then it was cool to hear McFadden and Birch's take, because they've both heard that before, and they both did it like the same but a little bit differently.
Yep.
And I thought that was a really cool thing for him to hear the same thing said 2 different ways, but all trying to get you to get better and not be twisting the face all around when you're putting, right? And I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I have a lot of really bad putts that are out on YouTube right now. So if you want to go watch some really bad putting strokes, just go watch one of the videos that I'm in.
I can't wait.
Occasionally I make some, but a lot of misses out there.
But we're going to fix that.
There you go. That's why I'm here.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. First of all, Ryan, I appreciate you taking the time to come down, because every teacher to me, when they come down, means a lot to me, because I know if you're not teaching, you're not making money.
Yep.
So I respect the fact if you care enough to come do that.
Right.
I also want to show you a good time and have you get something out of it. Yep. So hopefully you have.
I have. Thank you.
Wayno, you're the best ever. I mean, you've put up with me for God knows how long. Be honest, I could probably use a lesson. But and Cody, man, it's been fun getting to know you. And hopefully this isn't the only Tour Coach podcast you're on. We're going to do this more, and hopefully we'll keep getting you better. But it's been a blast getting to know you, and also just tremendous respect for what you guys are doing, because it's cool watching people change the landscape of what golf's about out there and expose it to more people. So kudos to you guys for doing all you're doing.
Thank you.
Awesome. And I just saw a Bushnell little spot up there on the women's golf thing. So go Bushnell. See, shout out to my sponsor. All right, we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Tour Coach. I want to take a minute and thank Cordy Walker and Golf Science Lab, as well as my sponsors Srixon, Buick, Bushnell, and Vineyard Vines for helping make all of this possible and helping me share my insights with you. If you like what you've heard, why don't you check out more on the Dewsweepers channel on YouTube, as well as the Dewsweeper on Instagram, or go to dewsweepersgolf.com to find out more about my teaching, my travels, and where you can find out more about me.